Hi everyone, I'm very excited to share with you one of my favorite books called The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson. Now, before we start reading the book, I want you all to think of a time when you began something new. Think about what that situation was. Where were you? Who was with you? How did it make you feel? Now, remember that time and keep it in your head as we read this book. And when we're finished, I'm going to ask you all to share your thoughts. Okay. The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Ringoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't even understand, the class will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Now, I want you to take a close look at Ringoberto and how he looks in this picture and how he looks in this picture. Why do you think Ringoberto looks happier in this picture than he does in this one? Ringoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller. When the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer?" Tell the class your story. "We went to France," Chayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with shells so fragile they'd look like they turned to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Each souvenir a smaller triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on." Okay. Now I want you to notice the children in this picture. How do they look on this page? And how does this child look over here? Why do you think that she looks left out from the others? As you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or unfamiliar for others to love as much as you do. Even when your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too far and fast. The game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. Okay, now notice the children on these pages and how they look over here, compared to this child standing all the way over here alone and by himself. And all that stands besides you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you are ready for. Okay. Now, notice the child staring into the water at his own reflection. What do you notice about the reflection in the water? Well, maybe if we tip the book upside down like this, we can get a better look at what he sees. And what he sees in his reflection is a book with beautiful colors coming from it and a smile on his face. So, what do you think this child is really thinking about as he is looking at himself in his reflection? There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister, you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Ringoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. Now, what happened after Angelina opened up to the class about herself? This is the day you begin to find the places inside of you, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. Okay. Now, there are many reasons to feel different, right? Just like how we learned from this book. Maybe it's the way you look or the way you talk, maybe where you're from or what you eat. Whatever it is, it's not easy to take those first steps into a place where nobody knows you. But somehow you do it. It takes bravery to move forward, and you feel like an outsider, when you begin to reach out and share your stories with others, others will be happy to do the same. And maybe you share some similarities and some differences, but in the end, you will gain new friends. So, remember when I told you to keep in mind that story of when you started something new? Now, I want you to turn to your neighbor and get in groups of 3 and share your stories with your classmates. And I also want you to ask how that made that person feel. Everyone will have 5 minutes to talk about this, and when we're done, you will have the opportunity to share your story with the entire class. Okay, thank you. Let's begin.